Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Yes, we'll be starting in about 10 minutes. Krishna willing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Ram Ram. Hare Hare. Mm-hmm. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Ram. Hare Ram Ram. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare Ram. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Krishna Krishna. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Ram Ram. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Mm-hmm. 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 Hare Ram. Rama, Rama. Ram. Still about 5 minutes. We'll start in about 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. 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 Ram. Hare Rama. Hare Krishna. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Ram Ram. Hare Ram. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Mm-hmm. Krishna Krishna. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Mm-hmm. 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 Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Krishna. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Welcome everyone, and Hare Krishna. Welcome to our ongoing journey, self-realization in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of our beloved founder Acharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. By his mercy, giving us the mercy and power and strength of Lord Balaram, Shri Balaram Swami Ki Jai, we can be successful and victorious. So as usual, I'm going to ask you to encourage you to immerse yourself in the soul cleansing sound vibration of Srila Prabhupada chanting the Mangalacharana. And yes, when your mind says, oh, I've heard this before, boring, whatever it says, other than let's do this with great vigor and enthusiasm. Tell it, when you absorb yourself in the sound vibration, when you swim, immerse yourself, completely immersed under the water of the transcendental, blissful, eternal ocean of the sound emanating from the lotus lips of the pure devotee, then you will be connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead immediately. So let's go. Forget everything else. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One thing I specifically remarked during that meditation, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. That's Radharani. Radharani is called Gaurangi. Why? Because I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya is called Gauranga, because he is Radharani on the outside, golden, molten golden in color, and he's Krishna, blackish, on the inside. So, to continue deepening our meditation and thought and mental connection with Krishna, let's read the next translation, the translation of the next verse. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. This is Vandeham Shri Guru. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates, Sri Lalita and Vishaka. So it's important to know the meaning in our own mother tongue. Not that it's absolutely necessary, but it's very, very helpful in engaging the mind, without which we're lost, because the mind engages us, and therefore we're lost. So we'll sing Jai Radha Madhava briefly, and then dive more deeply. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Jasodanandana Rajana Ranjana, Jasodanandana Rajana Ranjana, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Jasodanandana Rajana Ranjana, Jasodanandana Rajana Ranjana, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Radha, Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Radha, Jaya Radha, Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Radha. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vajra Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yoga Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Chaitanya. So we're jumping back in or continuing with the diving more deeply into the Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace of Prabhupada. Chapter 2, Contents of the Gita Summarized. Text number 25. So I'll read the Sanskrit myself and then we can do the word meanings together. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchate tasmadevam viditvainam nanushochitam arhasi. Please repeat after me. Avyakta, avyakta, invisible. I am this soul. Achintya, inconceivable. I am this soul. Avikarya, unchangeable. I am this soul. Uchate is said. Tasmat, therefore. Evam, like this. Viditva, knowing it well. Enam, this soul. Na, do not. Anushochitam, may lament over. Arhasi, you deserve. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable, and unchangeable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Please repeat after me. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable, and unchangeable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Purport. As described previously, the magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that he cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. Therefore, he is invisible. As far as the soul's existence is concerned, no one can establish his existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. I'll read that again. As far as the soul's existence is concerned, no one can establish his existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. We have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul, although it is a fact by perception. We have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul, although it is a fact by perception. There are many things we have to accept solely on grounds of superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based upon the authority of his mother. There is no other source of understanding the identity of the father except by the authority of the mother. Similarly, there is no other source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. The soul is consciousness and conscious. The soul is consciousness and conscious. That also is the statement of the Vedas, and we have to accept that. Unlike the bodily changes, there is no change in the soul. As eternally unchangeable, the soul remains atomic in comparison to the infinite Supreme Soul. The Supreme Soul is infinite, and the atomic soul is infinitesimal. Therefore, the infinitesimal soul, being unchangeable, can never become equal to the infinite soul, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways, just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. I'll repeat that again. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways, just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. Repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly, without error. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavani Paschatadi Satari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam, pangam langayate girim, yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. By the mercy of the spiritual master, a lame man can cross over mountains, and a dumb man can compose eloquent poetry. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bring it on. Prabhupada is bringing it on. He's pouring it on unlimitedly. Just the question is how much we're ready to accept, surrender, and follow along and become glorious for him. So, Prabhupada, I'll just repeat that. Vyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchate tasmadevam viditvainam nanusochitam arhasi. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable, and unchangeable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. So Prabhupada starts by restating that the magnitude of the soul is so small that he cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. Therefore, he's invisible. So we are invisible. So to get, to understand, to really deeply realize, receive this knowledge, which is a fact already, we need to, it's very helpful to bring the mind under control. And the more we understand how the mind works, like just now, what is your mind saying to you? Or what has it been saying about this study, about what we're going to hear? Oh, I know that already. Or I've heard this so many times. Or what's, I want something exciting. When the reality is this is the most exciting. So we have this dichotomy, this struggle, this conflict within ourselves that we have been trained, we have been brainwashed or brain dirtied in illusion from birth and from before birth for so many births. This has been our reality, that this world is real, that my body is me, and the body is very important. We've been brought up like that, with no understanding, no knowledge, no challenge practically to that so-called reality. This has been the absolute truth. No one talks about absolute truth because they might have to consider something else. But this has been our total reality. So it's not surprising. It's not at all surprising that our habits, which are all based around this world and this body being reality, with nothing else existing beyond it, is well established. That to change that takes some serious work. I'll get onto this a little bit more later about that struggle. But I find it very interesting that Prabhupada, he doesn't, here he says, therefore he is invisible. He doesn't say it, the soul, is invisible. He says he is invisible. Prabhupada's in that consciousness, that complete awareness that this soul, the soul, is individual. It's not an it. It has a personality, it has individuality. And then someone brought up the question of whether the soul is male or female. Now that's a whole nother discussion. We won't go there now, but it's interesting to consider. Is the soul male or female? And then immediately we think, well, male, female. We think in terms of male physical body, female physical body, and we're off the track. But spiritually, what does spiritual male mean? What does spiritual female mean? I said I wasn't going to go there, right? So he, you, me, he, she, not it, is invisible. And then Prabhupada goes on to say that no one can prove the existence of the soul, the existence of you and me, our real selves, beyond the authority of the Vedas. You cannot prove it experimentally. No one can establish his existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. We have to accept this truth. So someone tells us we have to accept something, what do? Forget it. Screw you. I don't have to accept anything. So this turns our whole world upside down. Well, it's actually the other way around. Our world is already turned completely upside down. So this is actually turning our world right side up. Let's get things in perspective. From the spiritual point of view, which is the only real point of view, this is turning our world right side up. If we want to accept, if we want to change our experience from mundane, miserable, up and down, suffering, complaining, constantly subject to the demands of the body, especially in old age like this body, everyone has to go to the toilet, they have to go to the dentist, have to suffer the pain, they have to be happy sometimes, be sad sometimes, going on the merry-go-round, changing bodies again and again and again. If we want to go beyond that, then we must accept the authority of the bona fide spiritual master, of the words of the Vedas. There's no other way. There's no other Harinam, there's no other way except to immerse ourselves in the Shabda Brahma, the transcendental sound coming down into succession from the Supreme Personality, Absolute Truth, Krishna. There's no other way. So if we're willing to consider that when someone says you have to accept this, that is perfect. That's perfect. Of course, in the beginning, we have to find a qualified person to accept that from, a person we can surrender to. Therefore, Krishna says, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So first we have to find someone who has seen the truth. And someone might say, well, I don't know how to. And Prabhupada said, we have to have enough, we have to use our intelligence, our God-given intelligence, and trust that we have that to search until we find someone who we see by their words, by their action, by their behavior, by their example, by their mood, we experience love, unsentimental, unlimited, unconditional love, unconditional acceptance from Srila Prabhupada, who sees us always as spirit soul, as he or she, spiritual he, spiritual she. There are many things we have to accept solely on grounds of superior authority. And then Prabhupada goes into explaining a material example of that fact, that we have that some things we can only accept on authority. For example, we don't know who our father is. we have to accept the authority of the mother. There's no other source of understanding the identity of the father except by the authority of the mother. So when we find someone who we can surrender to, without any doubt, we give ourselves fully, and we can accept when someone says, we have to accept this truth. We want to accept this truth. So at the same time, Prabhupada says, we have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding that speaks to the soul, although it is a fact by perception. So Prabhupada gives that comment, except that it is a fact by perception, although it is a fact by perception. What does that mean? That there is a kind of proof which is according to our own perception. Just like if I look at a picture of myself when I was 5 years old, I don't say, who's that stranger? I say, oh, that's me when my body was 5 years old. So we by perception, and logic and experience, we can understand we're changing the bodies. That I was there then. I may remember different things I was doing as a child when I was 5 years old. I was there then experiencing, just like I'm here now experiencing. And the body has changed how many times? This body's over 70, so that's 65 years. Every 7 years, almost, 9 times plus. This body has changed completely, not grown, but changed. Every single cell of the body has changed, replaced every 7 years. So I am that tiny quantum of consciousness, which is continuing in spite of the constant change, replacement of cells, change of the body. I don't look anything like I look in that picture. So that's perception and logic. But overall, absolute proof cannot be ascertained or provided except on the authority of the Vedas. So that authority is perfect. And the more we advance in Krishna consciousness, the more we become convinced that is not only perfect, it's complete. Everything is explained there, material and spiritual, and everything in between, gross and subtle. So we've been trained in the illusion. So it's not surprising that it seems strange, that it is foreign, it's not attractive. And our mind is doggedly committed to keep us in that mode, that illusion. Therefore, it says, oh, this is boring, or that will be boring, or I already know about Krishna consciousness. There's nothing new there. Now, we may not be consciously thinking that, but that's what's going on, unless and until we are diving ever increasingly into increased devotional service, according to our guna and karma, using the swadharma, the material dharma, our propensity, increasingly in Krishna consciousness, confirmed or checked according to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. We have the checks and balances. And it's very important that we're always looking for situations, opportunities, associations to increase our service, to be more and more absorbed in the reality, and automatically the unreality, the illusion, the material habits, they diminish. So it's like a seesaw. Every time that one goes up, the other goes down. And if we reduce or try to maintain only the spiritual, then the material will come up again. So we want to go up and up and up and up, and automatically this will just disappear. And that is the process of anatta nivriti. By being aware of the offenses, the deviations, the distractions, the lethargy, the laziness, the avoidance, our excuses, avoiding taking full responsibility for every action, and that it's more and more in Krishna consciousness, more and more according to Srila Prabhupada's instruction. That there's that wonderful quote that Prabhupada wrote in a letter to his disciple Bahurupa, I think. By the way, if you'd like to join us, and please share something on chat, whether in Zoom or in Krishna Katha. I haven't checked the Hare Krishna Atma Prabhu. Welcome. So please enter any comments or questions. We always like to have your thoughtful comments and questions on the Atma Prabhu. Anyone else, please join us. Say your name or where you are or something thoughtful. Whether you think it's thoughtful or not, just share. Nothing wrong, nothing right. There's no wrong questions, no wrong thoughts. So then we experience a great struggle to control the mind, to become steady, and to be aware of our anarthas, our excuses, our avoidance, our lack of taking full responsibility for every action, and using every moment. Ultimately, we want to be chanting in our sleep. Dreaming about Prabhupada and Krishna. That may seem far away. For some of us, it may not. But take full responsibility for ourselves. Material life means, oh no, I don't have to be responsible. I can do whatever I want, whatever my mind says. And therefore I'll be happy, and that's freedom. That's real freedom. That's impersonalism. That's the ultimate goal of the impersonalists, to mentally adjust themselves, adjust the mentality so that I am already liberated. I'm already free. I have made so much endeavor to enjoy this material world, in every way, but I wasn't successful at that. So let me become God, and I can just mentally adjust. And one symptom of that is that people deny the very reality, temporary reality of the suffering, the pain and pleasure, and the duality of this material world. There's a man who comes to our Hare Krishna Food for Life community cafe in Whangarei, and tall, thin man. he loves serving. They're washing the pots or serving out the prasadam or doing whatever is necessary. And yet, someone else had told me that this man's sister, who lives down here in Auckland, where I am now, come down for the Lord Balaram's appearance day and Ramapriya's birthday, and last week, and then for the big festivals coming up Friday and Saturday. Shri Janmashtami Mahotsava Ki Jai. Shri Vyasa Puja Ki Jai. His sister lives down here, and about a week ago, she killed her own body. She took her own life. She committed suicide. And I was thinking, my gosh. And this man, being the older brother of the family, has taken responsibility. So I saw him. I said, "Oh, hey, such and such." No, I didn't. I said it. I heard the terrible news. And he said, "Terrible? Nothing terrible about it." And he went on to say that pretty much that she'd planned it and she was happy with it. And I thought, what the heck? Now, maybe it's true, but my point is that his approach is to deny any pain or suffering of this material world, to pretend that it's not there. Everything's wonderful. Everything's as it should be. And we hear people say, it's all good. It's all good. When in the material experience, it's not all good. This is called spiritual bypassing, or living in the illusion of transcendence. That we take the philosophy or the reality of spiritual life when we haven't realized it, and lay it over the temporary reality of this material world. Deny the suffering, deny the pain, deny anything, any duality at all, because it's all transcendental, it's all wonderful. Take a detour here. What Prabhu has shared. I really appreciate the point you made that one, we should always be seeing and understanding how we can improve or increase our service. And two, being responsible for every thought and action. The two seem to be closely related. Please elaborate if you'd like to. Well, firstly, Prabhupada says that human life is a life of responsibility. And we can break down the word responsible or as being response-able, able to respond to any situation as we choose. Now, this man has chosen to react to every situation with an artificial, unreal approach, that there is no problem, there is no suffering, there is no pain. Now, if someone's completely transcendental, and that's what the impersonalists do, they mentally establish themselves as completely transcendental. That this world for them doesn't even exist, that they're beyond it. And yet they have a very powerful desire, a desperate desire to get out by becoming God. They're also motivated. And it's a different kind of, maybe different level of motivation or aspiration to become something spiritual. But because they haven't realized it, it's only on the mental platform. Bhagavatam says that they're riding on the manoratena, the chariot of the mind. And because that's temporary and changeable, they have to come down again. Even they go very high into the Brahmajyoti. So they're avoiding responsibility for dealing with the duality of this material world. So to deny the duality is like denying Krishna, because this is Krishna's energy. And he's put those who are not ready or willing, I should say, willing to accept that we have to accept this truth, the truths of the Vedas, starting from the reality of the soul. The soul is tiny. The soul is eternal and individual and full of potency, but it is tiny compared to Krishna. It can never become Krishna. The Supreme Soul is infinite, and the atomic soul is infinitesimal. Therefore, the infinitesimal soul, being unchangeable, can never become equal to the infinite soul or the Supreme Personality of God. The individual soul can never become God because it's eternally infinitesimal. So to take responsibility for who I am, understanding not just theoretically, because Prabhupada says Aham Brahmasmi is essential. Knowing I am eternal soul, I am invisible, I'm inconceivable, I'm immutable and unchangeable is essential. And yet it's not enough. We have to live that way. And living that way means taking full responsibility that I am infinitesimal, although I'm invisible, I'm inconceivable, I'm immutable and unchangeable. I can never become anything great. I can never become God, the unlimited, infinite soul, who's also individual. I'm eternally infinitesimal, the same, always the same. Even though I have all these transcendental qualities, I am tiny. And that doesn't change. I'm unchangeable. So when one takes full responsibility for accepting, when one accepts fully these unarguable truths, then one can that's a choice. Someone says, you have to accept, you have to accept this truth. We choose. And when we choose on the side of light, on the side of knowledge, on the side of reality, on the side of Krishna, according to the representative in the Parampara, bona fide spiritual master, then we can continue making those choices, that kind of choice, to increase our service and become able to use every thought and action for Krishna. Now I'm going to go back to a point I was making before, that there's a struggle because we've been immersed in, since time immemorial, the opposite. That there must be duality, there must be suffering, there must be dictation by our mind, or that we must accept that, because the mind says the same thing. You have to accept this truth. The mind has taken the position of Krishna. Ultimately, we chose that. And now we get to choose something different. That's the first point of responsibility, where we take responsibility, that I chose to accept this illusion as reality when I turn my back on Krishna. When I even thought, oh, what would it be like to be Krishna? Bang. We entered in the material consciousness and have lived this dream ever since. So that's the first point, that I made that choice, and now I can make, because I made that choice, I had and have continued to have the freedom to choose. I choose something else. So the more we advance, the more we can see and understand, be aware of what the mind is telling us as the absolute truth. That's the first point of taking responsibility, that I have the freedom, albeit small. I have the constant, eternal freedom. I'm marginal. I can always choose Krishna or Maya. And the more we commit ourselves to choose Krishna, that ability to remember, to be conscious, to do that increases, because that's the natural condition, to be fully aware and conscious and able to choose, able to respond as we choose. You might like to say something more about that, Atmananda, or anyone else. Any other thoughts or comments? That's some thoughts I had. Thank you. So Prabhupada makes the point that yes, it's a struggle, and we don't want to avoid the fact that it's a struggle. We don't want to deny the duality of the material world. It's Krishna's energy. It's placed there for a reason. So respectfully and humbly, we go beyond that, the struggle, but only by taking full charge, taking full responsibility for our every thought and action. That is, there's struggle there. It seems to be struggle there. And Prabhupada says it's actually, and I titled this presentation today, the most difficult, easy thing. Now, what does that mean? Because surrendering to Krishna, Prabhupada says, is not difficult. Choosing to always be engaged in Krishna's service instead of following the dictates of the mind, it is not difficult. It's easy. It's the easiest thing. And yet we experience it as very difficult. Very, very difficult. And because we have been so long immersed in the illusion, then the difficulty remains the reality. That's part of our challenge. So the more we absorb ourselves in hearing and chanting, especially the basics like this, Prabhupada says that this concept in the Vedas, this concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul, the stability, the kutastha, the steadiness, the stability, the reality, the eternal, unchangeable reality of the existence and the qualities of the soul, of ourselves. Repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. So it may seem boring, it may seem hackneyed, it may seem like unexciting to absorb ourselves constantly in repeating and hearing the repetition of something that the eternal reality is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. We want to become fully convinced that there is no question, there is no error in anything that Prabhupada says and Krishna say. Nothing. There's no question, no doubt, no possible denial or lasting reality of anything else. Therefore, repetition of something. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways, just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. We must hear this again and again and again. But our attitude, Prabhupada says in the Bhagavatam, for example, that constant chanting is necessary, and there's a certain quality of chanting, a certain quality of approach. Prabhupada says in the preface to the nectar of instruction. The attitude of the follower is everything. The attitude of the follower, our mentality, the mood we bring into our study, into our association, into our struggle, into our service, that yes, I am an eternal soul, and I have no qualification to challenge that, although Maya gives me apparently that ability to challenge. That's Maya's position. That's her right. That's her thankless service, thankless task, thankless service to Krishna, to give us the illusion that we have the opportunity to challenge, to deny, to accept some other version, when there is no other version except that temporary, changeable, illusory one, which we have accepted as reality. Therefore, Srila Vyasadeva says, the highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. The Vedas, Prabhupada, all the members, all the acharyas, all the members of the Guru Parampara, all the advanced devotees, they're trying to help us, trying to save us for our welfare, for our freedom, for our happiness, for our eternal, joyful, conscious, free life. People talk about, oh, there's no suffering here. They want to have that eternal freedom, and they, with their temporarily powerful mind, they create this bypass of the reality, and it creates suffering, because one day they're going to die, and whether they may realize the death or not. Of course, this particular man, he's engaged in service. He loves prasadam. He has some spiritual inclination. Obviously, he wouldn't be engaged in devotional service like that. And he's getting purified. So one day he's gonna realize the reality that his present attitude is just perpetuating his suffering. And he has choice. And we can respect that. It's important that we respect people's choices, not that we try to beat them over the head. I mean, someone may read this. We have to accept this truth. And then they may close the Bhagavad Gita and never open it again, at least in this lifetime. Oh, I have to. No, I don't. We have that. Krishna gives us that choice. And when we make the choice not to accept, then we continue with our illusion, as if that's better. Bhagavatam, Sri Prahlad Maharaj said that those who are determined to enjoy this material world independently, they cannot be convinced or changed, not by association, not by meetings, not by, they simply go on punascharvita charvananam, chewing what's already been chewed. No, people, they settle for that. And they have, Prabhupada and Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, are giving us the choice to have something eternally wonderful. So on days like Balaram's Appearance Day, which we just celebrated on Friday, we can pray. We should pray to Lord Balaram. He's a person. We have a relationship with him. He's our eternal friend, and he's the source of all strength. So unless we tell him our problems, which is a whole nother subject, unless we tell him our problems and ask for his help personally, consciously, speaking to him, he won't take us very seriously. So he's always our friend. He's always our well-wisher. He always wants to help us, and he's always eager to give us the strength, the unlimited spiritual strength to deal with whatever challenges we've not overcome yet. So, yes, it's very good to pray to the specific personalities on their appearance days, but every day they're always our friends, they're always our well wishers, they're always most powerful. So let's treat them like that. They're there all the time. Pray to them every day, every moment. When we're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's a glorification, but it's also a prayer. Oh my Lord, oh energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. Hare Krishna. We'll finish up by saying that these statements in this chapter can be used as affirmations every day, whenever you want, or you can schedule it. You can say, I am invisible, I am inconceivable, I'm immutable, and I am unchangeable. These are affirmations, just like a Brahmasmi. I am eternal spirit soul. This can be very helpful in further controlling and engaging the mind. So any other comments or thoughts? Let's see. Oops. Thank you again, Atmananda Prabhu. We need to simultaneously be hearing about the blissful reality of Krishna's pastimes in the spiritual world, while simultaneously being fully conscious and aware of our own position of conditioning, and be responsible for our particular level of development. Yes, very important. Both at the same time. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. If you want to share any further thoughts, you can always put them in, or questions, you can always put them in chat. And for the future, you can always join us on Zoom, because then it's even more, can be even more interactive. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Shri Janmastami Maha Mahotsava ki jai. Shri Vyasapuja ki jai. Hari Hari. Hare Krishna. Jai.